The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
I haven't talked much about Star Wars as of late because Star Wars has been out of my life for a while, but something bad is on the horizon and, well, you have to know about it. Today's video is a twofer. I was going to stick with one topic, but something new popped up and I figure, why not give you more value? We are world class after all. We're about 10 days away from the launch of Kenobi, Disney's newest addition to the Star Wars saga. If you would have told me 10 years ago that an ObiWan show starring Ewan McGregor was coming, I'd have been ecstatic. Ewan McGregor is the best part of the prequels, better than Liam Neeson, Natalie Portman, Jar Jar Binks, and Captain Panaka combined, rolled into a ball and shoved right up your ass, just to name a few. He got progressively better to the point where by Revenge of the Sith, he became the definitive version of the character in my eyes. Guys, I love Alec Guinness in Star Wars, but he's not my favorite part of that movie. Harrison Ford is. Ewan McGregor is my favorite part of all the prequels. How does this not get you excited? Or this.
Hello there.
As the clock counts down to Kenobi's release date, you'd assume I'd be excited. Ewan McGregor, my favorite part of the prequels, is coming back. But before I can allow myself to get too excited, I have to take into account who makes Star Wars these days. No, not him. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I hate Disney Star Wars. Could you have guessed? I clearly hate it because I'm an angry white man who hates women and minorities. Characters like Rey and Rose Tico make my blood boil because I'm a bad person. And I hate Finn because I'm a racist, and Poe Dameron is my favorite because he's kind of white. That's the stupid shit that people on the internet say. They believe that shit too. A culture war was created because fans didn't like the new Star Wars. Lives were ruined over nothing. It's a very modern problem. My personal problem with Disney Star Wars, besides them being genuinely bad and essentially remakes of the original trilogy with no real reason to exist, is the fact that they damaged the original trilogy and created plot holes and contrivances too great for Star Wars. Lucasfilm sacrificed the EU for the sequel trilogy, and now they're cannibalizing Star Wars history to appeal to no one. For the past few months, there have been rumors about Star Wars Kenobi leaks regarding the ending of the series as well as the post-credit scenes. We have been hesitant to publish anything regarding these purported leaks because, first, the series has been in post-production and things could have changed from leak to release, and second, after the Book of Boba Fett had its ending changed, even once the series started releasing, leadership at that Park Place hasn't been keen to be burned again. I'd like to commend Park Place for addressing Star Wars rumors that never came to be. That might be the biggest reason why I've slowed down making content, because I didn't believe the Reddit rumor mill. Others did, and would manipulate the community to cash in on the speculation that they didn't even believe in the first place. It got stupid. Once the lies dried up, so did the views. People had it on good authority that the sequel trilogy was getting rebooted. A year was spent discussing it. It never happened. Each new Disney show focused on the formation of the First Order, which means everything leads to old Jake Skywalker. If all these rumors were so true, how did no one call Luke Skywalker coming back? It was the biggest moment of 2020. Side note, Han Solo was never coming back to the Book of Boba Fett. People extrapolated that from the Luke Skywalker return in The Mandalorian Season 2. It's easy to make these things up based on what already happened. It's armchair booking. Wrestling fans know the routine. Look up Dave Meltzer. He's the wrestling rumor mill and everyone hates him because he makes up bullshit. His whole shtick was garbage. Jim Ross and many other respected members of the wrestling community frequently call him out because he makes up these baseless rumors. One of these has to be accurate, right? Things are beginning to heat up, and ObiWan is just a few weeks away from release. It appears that the ending may have been completely leaked. It's hard not to cover it when part of what we do is cover rumors. I guess all I have to say is I implore our readers to temper their expectations. Could this be a legitimate leak? Yes. Could there be an intentionally leaked false ending to throw fans off? Sure. Could there be 3 different endings just so we don't know which one they picked? You bet. So let's just enjoy this potential leak for what it is, a rumor. Essentially, if the leak turns out to be true, Star Wars will be retconned so that Obi-Wan Kenobi failed to protect Luke Skywalker, and in fact, an Inquisitor had the opportunity to kill him, Luke Skywalker, as a boy. However, out of the goodness of her heart, she overcomes the desire to kill him and instead sacrifices her own life by being killed by Darth Vader himself. In that regard, Obi-Wan Kenobi will be made a failure twice over. He will now have failed to save Anakin from becoming Vader, and failed to actually protect Luke from the Empire. Only by luck and the good-hearted nature of an Inquisitor will Luke be spared. A woman of color will have filled in for an incompetent Kenobi, and will have given her life at the rage of a white man behind the mask. Hold on, let me just cut in for a second. Say what you will about any of this shit, but Darth Vader's skin tone really isn't white anymore. It's more of a fleshy hot dog, I would say. Darth Vader is more Hulk Hogan than he is generic white guy, and we all know Hulk Hogan is more than generic white guy. He's a real American. There's a reason this climate of Star Wars fans exist. Because we were all burned. Much worse than Darth Vader. Sorry, bro, but you're not real. But the pain we felt from Star Wars was real. We talk about some things because they feel right or wrong, and there's a good reason fans were ready to abandon the sequel trilogy, even if nothing came to fruition, because those movies absolutely sucked. Rey Skywalker, dumb. The Last Jedi, everything about that film, dumb. Admiral Holdo, dead, and I'm glad she fucking died. We're supposed to care about the characters, but literally everyone they created for the sequel trilogy is bad, and the returning characters were done dirty. Han Solo died like a chump. Luke Skywalker got too tired from using the Force and died. And Princess Leia, she got it the worst. Poor Carrie Fisher died, but instead of doing the right thing, Disney kept her around and CGI'd her into the rise of Skywalker. She didn't even have a say in the matter. Isn't that messed up? As a fan, why am I supposed to give Disney another shot? Han, Luke, Leia, R2-D2, just to name a few, they were all treated like an afterthought to elevate the new Lucasfilm characters. If they don't treat the Trinity sacred, how are they going to treat ObiWan Kenobi? The prequels are looked at more kindly these days, but does Lucasfilm even realize that? Probably not. See the sequel trilogy for the worst of Star Wars. There's an old saying, time heals all wounds. Given enough time, even this seems palatable. The Star Wars prequel trilogy was derided when it was released. People like Kevin Smith, Seth MacFarlane, and Red Letter Media all had their say on the film, and their influence. But it turns out their takes may have been right, but not for this generation. In a recent interview with IGN, the ObiWan actor said he liked going back to watch the prequels in preparation for his Disney Plus series, to which Hayden Christensen responded that Episode 3 is a phenomenal film. Ewan McGregor on his Star Wars fans and his relationship with the prequels. Those films were critically not liked very much, or they weren't written very nicely about, by the critics. But what we didn't hear at the time was the people your age, your generation. We meet those people now, and they really love our films, but it's taken us 15 years to hear that, And it's so nice it's really nice. It's changed my outlook, or my relationship with Star Wars is different because of that, I think. I was the prime age for the prequel trilogy, 10 years old. I'll spare you my 1999 recap, including completing Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, but I didn't like Episode 1 when I saw it. I stopped watching Star Wars for a few years after it, actually. I gave Star Wars another shot in 2002 with Attack of the Clones. Didn't like that one either, and I didn't watch it again until 2009. Finally, Revenge of the Sith came out, and I loved it. I saw it a few times that summer, including a viewing on another continent. I liked the Clone Wars a lot too, and that show really was the key to me liking the prequel trilogy. They figured out how to flesh out the world and make it feel important. Anakin was a hero, not a whiner. Obi-Wan didn't have a stick up his ass like in the movies, and Ahsoka wasn't obtrusive back then. Thanks, Dave. The Clone Wars was the perfect vessel for Star Wars after the films. It introduced a new generation to Star Wars, and was a damn cool show. We'd watch it in the dorms before we went out drinking. It wasn't as cool as Miami Vice, but it was difficult to skip an episode. What I really want to talk about now is how happy I am. Yes, me. Happy in a Star Wars video. I like this sentiment here from Ewan McGregor. Yeah, it took decades, but there's finally prequel love. That shit is never happening with the sequel trilogy. In 15 years, when The Force Awakens is 22 years old, no one is going to give a shit. Or no one's going to say that Rey was their hero. No one will run up to Kelly Marie Tran after The Last Jedi turns 20 and tell her how great Rose Tico was. And I guarantee that no one, and I mean no one, will walk up to J.J. Abrams and say, thank you. Shit on the prequel trilogy all you want, but they did everything better than the sequel trilogy. The only thing the sequel trilogy can beat the prequel trilogy in is CGI, because technology advanced beyond what George Lucas had access to. Characters, plot elements, originality, things only Lucas concerned himself with. His successor, Kathleen Kennedy, filled her Star Wars movies with wonderful things like this. I could go on, raging for hours, but I already have. Check out our wonderfully received videos on all the sequel trilogy shortcomings that I made years ago. I'd love to say that I'm surprised that I'm still making Star Wars videos, but I'm not. The cultural impact of the sequel trilogy was massively negative. How did Star Wars fall this far? Oh, duh. When the value of an asset increases, it's called appreciation. When fans enjoy the work of an artist, there's something called appreciation. When two words mean the same thing, it's called a homonym. There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'll save it for June to please our sponsors. There's no appreciation coming for the sequel trilogy like there is the prequel trilogy. As I record this, Attack of the Clones is 20 years old today. Time has been much kinder to that film than, say, Solo. Solo is competent to a fault. It does nothing flashy or special. Attack of the Clones has Kamino, the Clone Army, Count Dooku, and a whole amazing world of creativity put on screen. The sequel trilogy is rehashed callback moment after member berry after bad decision. It hurt as a Star Wars fan to watch those. Lucas tried and cared and succeeded. Star Wars has to draw from a dried up well. Another Disney Plus show, another trip to Tatooine, or identical locale. If we're talking about a rumor at face value, it's one that seems more plausible than what's come before because this keeps happening to our characters. Would Lucasfilm create a show just to stick it to a portion of the audience? Probably. The Sith rule Hollywood after all. My guess is that ObiWan is going to focus more on the Inquisitors and keep Obi-Wan slightly out of focus. Will he be the main character? He'll be one of them. He'll be one of the few to get a toy, but I fully expect the show to tell the female Inquisitor's story first because she's the one we all care about, right? And don't get me started on Darth Vader. They're tempting fate here. Rogue One barely pulled off making Vader work. The hallway scene, that was cool. But his voice and dialogue, they were rough. I blame post-production, not James Earl Jones. He's a legend and is above fault. I wonder how Lucasfilm will look back at its legacy. Will they gloss over their bullshit or take a long, sobering look in the mirror? They'll probably pat themselves on the back, take a victory lap, and wonder how Indiana Jones 14, starring the Harrison Ford hologram, is going to play in China. It's an ugly future, but hey, they shit in the bed, and now they have to lie in it. May the Force be with us all, because we're going to need it. So folks, we're a couple days out from Obi-Wan. Are you excited? Are you interested? Do you give a damn? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm glad we got to address some rumor talk because a lot of things have been talked about for years and none of them have really come to fruition. That, compounded with bad Star Wars entertainment, just makes it difficult to care. But Obi-Wan Kenobi is incredibly important, and so I care again. So folks, I'll be back next time with more, shooting for Thursday this week. Beyond the podcast, I want to put out another video this week and get back into the rotation. So tell us what you're interested in watching, and well, we'll tell you if we're going to make it or not by making it or not. So subscribe to this channel, make sure you have all your bells, notifications, all that fun stuff turned on. Make sure you jump through the hoops that YouTube makes you jump through to find us, because we're worth it at the end of the day. We're here to entertain you and force you to do one thing. Go out into the world and be excellent to each other.